The purpose of this training video is to explain our call center system to the user. We're going to start over here on the right-hand side. This is your telephone. Now, this is an internet-based call system, so these phone calls will be coming over the internet. Right now, I'm offline. There are other options. I could be available, busy, wrap up, on break, or I could be talking to a customer. But right now we're going to leave it offline so I can explain the telephone to you. In here would be a destination number. That means if you were calling out, I was calling myself 1-714-717-5334. I could put this number in here and make an outbound call. I would go down here and press the green button to make an outbound call. The green button is outbound. The red button is hang up. The gray button is hold. The yellow button is mute. And the blue button is transfer. Now the caller ID right here is the number that's going to show when I make the call to this telephone number. So it would say Paradise Appliance. Let's say I want it to say just press 1. It'll be, I want my phone number in there, the JPO default number. I just change it to that number. And then hit the green button, and I can make an outbound call. Now down here is all the recent calls that have come in or I've made. If you click on this button, here's the last 10 calls. You can listen to the recording, you can see how long it was, you can see who you talked to. That's under recent calls, and it can be very useful if you can't remember who just called you. It happens. Here are the agents. So everyone in the queue is listed in this tab. This agent is on the phone, this agent's available, another agent on the call. The yellows are all on calls. The green is waiting for a call. The red ones are either wrapping up or busy doing something else. And there you go. You can see everybody and where they stand. The queue, this is the number of calls in queue, and the number of minutes, the longest number of minutes a caller is waiting. So this call here has been waiting 8 minutes. Once it's over 6 minutes, it turns red because it's way too long to be waiting. And then it's green until it hits 4 minutes. Then it becomes yellow, warning you that it's going to be red if it hits 6 minutes. And the last tab is all of the service centers that we answer the telephone for. If it's green, the call will come to you. If it's red, you're not authorized to take that call. So if I just said, oh yes, I'm authorized for just press 1, there I am. Now I'm green, and I can take just press 1 calls. Let's say I don't want to take calls for Huff Chiropractic. I can just click on it, and you'll see it'll turn red, and now calls for Huff Chiropractic will not come to my phone. So how do we get calls to come to our telephone? Well, while you're offline, they won't come to you. If you're busy or in wrap up or on break, they will not come to you. So let's just put me into available, and let's just see what happens. Now that I'm available, the system should say, okay, this agent is ready to take a telephone call. And one of these calls, fields won't come to me because if you notice here under service centers, I am not authorized for fields. So that call will not come to me. Let's see what other calls are in the queue. Fields, fields, fields. Okay, that's why my phone is not ringing. It's because all these 4 calls in the queue are all from an account that I'm not authorized to answer. Now you will see that a Flamingo call came in. It gives me the telephone number, and it gives me the account that's calling in. Obviously, another agent picked it up, which is why it automatically was answered by someone else, and I did not have to pick up that call. But here we go again. Here's a Whirlpool factory service call. The phone number, the number of seconds it had been waiting to answer, and of course, another agent has picked that up. So I'm going to put myself back on offline so I don't get any more calls. And now you can see down here, this is always live. We have 2 calls and just 1 minute waiting. One of the other features we have that we just put in recently was the callback feature. Those calls will sit in the queue in a blue status. What's important on the blue call, which is the callback, is that you wait until the customer answers the phone. So they called in, they decided they couldn't wait any longer. They pressed 1. We confirmed that we would be calling them back without losing their place in line at the same telephone numbers they were calling in on. And that's exactly what happened. We called them back. So you need to wait until they answer the phone. If for any chance they do not answer the phone, then you want to make sure you say who you are, from what company. You make sure you go to information and you have with you the telephone number so that you can say, "This is Paradise Appliance returning your phone call. I'm sorry we missed you. Please call us back at 877-257-0997. Now I'd like to move to the top bar and go over the different options and why they are here, these little links across the top. The dashboard is all the messages that you were supposed to be reading. Now, if you noticed, I'm pretty far behind and I have not read all of these messages. But once I do, Tech 22 is no longer with Flamingo. Please schedule Tech 38. I've read all of that. I've read all of that. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say mark all read. When you do that, the messages disappear. So I went from 20 messages in my dashboard to no messages. Now you can always look at old messages. So you just have to click the old message button. The only thing you're doing when you say messages read is you're letting us know as managers that you've read your messages. Next, we have the chat button. Now we're moving to the new chat system and everybody's been through that training already. But here we chat with each other and with our clients. Logins, of course, is your service desk links. And this is where you put your name in the service desk remote session that you're taking and the day that you're taking it and the time that you're signing out. This next link here is for Whirlpool Factory Service. So that's just the outbound calling list. Client alerts. This is where we actually enter those alerts that you see when you sign into a customer. So let's just say I sign in to Appliance Specialist. They have 6 alerts. Those alerts are done through this client alert button. Probably if you're not a manager or a supervisor, you don't have that link there. But these alerts are very important. And when you get a call from a specific customer, this is information you need to know right away. Reference, under the Reference tab, we have external and internal phone numbers. So internally would be the extensions and cell phone numbers of your fellow employees. The reference for external, it's going to be all the manufacturers and service contract companies and their phone number and notes of their times that they are open. Also under reference is the training videos. So if you've forgotten something and you need to look back on a training video for the BMS, for Service Bench, just look and see, oh, parts not ordered. Let's look at that video. And it opens a new session, so you can just close that session when you're done. There's also training videos for Service Desk. There's also employee information. This is a new tab. So depending on what state you're working in, this could be some workman comp notices, it could be labor board notices, anything that we need to post to you that's important for you to know. You just click on the notice, on the link, and the PDF with the notice to the employee will come up. So it's important for you to keep an eye on what notices are out there. Since we're not in an office and this can't be posted up for you to see, we post it here under employee information. Over here on the left is, of course, information about the call, the incoming caller. So right now it says appliance specialist, which would mean that is a call. You're getting a call from a customer, and the customer is calling appliance specialist. Quick reference, everyone has a quick reference. It gives you really in one dashboard looking document, you'll have the service call fee, the additional appliance fee, what state and what technicians, just information you really need. They don't do robocalls. Please create a UIS, just things that you have to know in a flash is under quick reference. Under information, you will 1, see the alerts, and 2, get more detailed information. Maybe their address, transfer numbers, policies, the brands that they cover, any other detailed information. And of course, under messages is the service is our message center. So we can send a message to appliance specialists through this drop-down box. Now they only happen to have one drop-down box, but let's look at somebody else. Let's take, for instance, Danmark Appliance. In Danmark Appliance, the message center has quite a few. You can send a message to dispatch, to parts, to accounting. Is there a COI needed? There's a special person who handles that. Normal cancellations, next day cancellations. There's quite a few different kinds of messages, and these are sorted out and sent to the appropriate person at Danmark. So once you click the message, then you can enter all the information from the ticket that you need in order to ask the question or inform that department of a particular issue. Different clients will have different links on the left-hand side. Here for Danmark, we do outbound calls. So there's a link here to outbound calls. Now, another client might not have outbound calls, but they might have a different, let's look at Flamingo. Of course, this is asking me if I want to leave because I still have the message center open. If I wasn't done with my message, I could say stay, finish the message, submit it to the correct customer, and of course you know that you have to go to the drop-down box, pick the customer you want to send it to before you submit. But I'm going to cancel this because I don't have a message. I'm going to leave the page because I don't have a message. Now let's just look at Dave's Appliance. See, they don't have any additional links. Let's look at Whirlpool Factory Service. You'll see here I have special documents, maybe the technicians and their telephone numbers. I have robocalls, every call that went out, you can check and make sure what time it went out, whether it got a voicemail or it got a live person, zip codes and zones that they cover, how to cancel service calls. These are information that's needed quickly so that you don't have to hunt around through your notes or documentation. So we've covered the telephone, the phone, the buttons, how to look at agents and see who's doing what. Recent calls, the number of calls, the last 10 calls that you took, and how to listen to them in case you need the information. The queue, 4 calls holding, 3 minutes is the max. And service centers, what client can you do business with is green, which ones you do not get calls for would be red. We've gone over the list of links across the top, your dashboard. Make sure you read your messages and say you've read them. Your chat screens, your RD logins where you're going to take a login to Service Desk. Client alerts, how to enter client alerts, how we enter client alerts. References, your internal and external directories, your video training in case you need it. And of course, employee information, notices by state that you need to see as an employee. We've also gone through the different types of information per client on the left-hand side, different links to different kinds of information. We've gone through the message center, how to send a message to different departments. Each client will have something different. This one has escalation and emergencies, has accounts receivable. Not everybody has accounts receivable. And all these red important messages that show here on the front screen per customer. These are very helpful so that you don't have to go through all the documentation. If you have any questions about our call center, please feel free to ask. Thank you and have a wonderful day.